It is estimated that approximately 1/3 of the surface of the Earth is covered by the Pacific Ocean, which is the largest and deepest ocean on the planet. It reveals a wide tract of water in its entirety. You might be curious about the reason why airplanes do not fly straight over this ocean, even though they routinely travel across it on long-distance flights. Within the scope of this investigation, we will investigate the myriad of aspects and considerations that influence flight trajectories across the Pacific Ocean. When flying over the Pacific Ocean, do airplanes cross it directly? The fact that there are extremely few aircraft that fly across the entire ocean is something that is common knowledge to everyone who has flown to sites in the Pacific. They opt for winding pathways that take them over much bigger areas of land. You are probably curious about the most effective method of planning a flight from one end of the Pacific Ocean to the other. If you are considering a career as a flight dispatcher, when you are interested in becoming one. When planning a flight of this magnitude, you will need to give special thought to several factors, and the Sheffield School of Aeronautics, which is an experienced flight dispatcher school, will explain some of these reasons in this video. Does the Pacific Ocean have any airplanes flying over it? To obtain further information, please keep watching. To fly across the Pacific Ocean, which is a very huge body of water, an extraordinarily enormous amount of gasoline will be required. The majority of commercial flights utilize curved routes rather than flying directly over the Pacific Ocean. This is because curved routes are shorter than flying straight across a distance. Even though it may appear contradictory, the fact that the Earth is spherical means that a straight line does not necessarily represent the shortest distance between two sites. Some of the minimum cost routes may potentially be impacted by adverse weather conditions and strong winds. Curved routes are safer and more fuel efficient than straight lines, which is another reason why airplanes could prefer to choose paths that are curved rather than straight. By picking a route that is curved and covers more territory than a straight line, or by taking a route that is typically within 2 to 3 hours of a coastal airport, which is one form of extended range operations, ETOPS, there will be more options for emergency landings if they are required. Last but not least, in the terrible event that an airplane was to crash in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it would require an incredibly massive search and rescue operation to locate the airplane. Traveling westbound from the United States to Australia or New Zealand is an exception to this rule. When individuals are flying across the Pacific, Australia is one of the most popular destinations they choose to visit. The United States of America is the closest location to Australia, however, Australia is far away. This indicates that an airplane will spend more time flying over water than flying over land. Larger weather systems and potentially hazardous weather conditions can develop over bodies of water. These include thunderstorms, which pose a significant threat to aircraft when they are in flight. There are situations in which airlines might try to spend as little time as possible flying over water or implementing ETOPS into their operations. Flights will not fly directly west to Australia for several reasons. One of these reasons is that airlines are attempting to reduce the amount of money they spend on fuel by making more stops in airports across the various airports in Asia. Although there are only a handful of aircraft that are capable of completing a trans-Pacific flight, the duration of a flight of this magnitude typically ranges from 11 to 12 hours. Nevertheless, several factors have a significant impact on a westbound Pacific flight to one of the countries of Australia or New Zealand, etc. It is common practice for airplanes to go over the Pacific Ocean from the United States to Australia because this route typically saves both time and fuel and is seen as quite safe, particularly with contemporary aircraft. There are, however, other exceptions, such as flying across the Pacific Ocean when both the departure and destination are located further north in latitude. This can help shorten the distance traveled and/or take advantage of a more favorable breeze component overall during the trip. When it comes to ETOPS flights, considering the availability of alternate airports along the route may also play a role in the decision-making process for flying across the Pacific. Several factors contribute to the fact that airplanes steer clear of flying over the Pacific Ocean. On many of the smaller islands, there are no airstrips or airports, which means that if a plane needed to make an emergency landing, it would be difficult to find a spot to land. This is the most typical explanation. It would be extremely challenging to locate a plane that had crashed in the Pacific Ocean because of its vastness and the fact that it is located in a remote area. It is also important to take into account the frequently turbulent weather conditions that plague the Pacific. It is a difficult task to fly over the Pacific Ocean, regardless of whether you are in a commercial aircraft or a private jet. Take a more in-depth look at the reasons why this is the case. The greatest circle routes. Having a firm grip on the notion of great circle routes is very necessary to comprehend the reason why airplanes do not fly over the Pacific Ocean. When two places on the surface of a sphere, such as the Earth, are separated by the shortest distance possible, this is known as a great circle route. These routes have the appearance of curved lines when viewed on a map that is just two-dimensional. To reduce the amount of fuel they use and the amount of time they spend in the air, airlines frequently favor using large circle routes. Airplanes can take advantage of the inherent shape of the Earth and reduce the overall distance traveled by following the curvature of the Earth around it. On the other hand, when it comes to journeying across the Pacific Ocean, the direct Great Circle route between two sites might not necessarily be the most feasible choice. This is because the Pacific Ocean spans a wide length, and flying directly over it may result in longer flight times and logistical issues. Flight planners often consider additional criteria such as safety, availability to diversion airports, air traffic control coverage, and navigational aids when choosing flight paths. The coastal pathways. Consequently, flight trajectories over the Pacific Ocean have a tendency to follow coastal routes close to the coastlines of land masses that are located in close proximity to the ocean. By following coastline routes, airlines may secure access to diversion airports in case of emergency. These diversion airports operate as backup landing places if an aircraft experiences an unforeseen issue and needs to make an emergency landing. Additionally, flying along coastlines provides for greater communication and coordination with air traffic control facilities, which are often located near inhabited areas. There are times when great circle routes do not coincide with practical factors, even though they provide the shortest distance between two specified sites. When it comes to long-distance flights that span the Pacific Ocean, the primary concern is striking a balance between fuel efficiency, safety, availability of emergency facilities, and effective management of air traffic. As a consequence of this, aircraft trajectories frequently diverge from straight great circle routes to follow coastline routes. This provides a more practical and efficient option for traveling across the Pacific Ocean. Streams of jets. Jet streams are high-altitude, narrow air currents that travel from west to east throughout the atmosphere of the Earth. They act as powerful wind corridors that greatly impact flight patterns across the Pacific Ocean. Jet streams are also known as jet streams. Because these winds can reach speeds of up to 250 miles per hour, they are a vital factor to take into mind while planning for flight. One of the most influential jet streams is the Pacific jet stream, which is often referred to as the polar jet stream. The direction of this swiftly moving wind current, which typically travels from west to east over the northern Pacific Ocean, is an essential component in choosing the most effective flying paths. The momentum of the jet stream is utilized by airlines to improve efficiency, reducing the amount of time spent traveling as well as the amount of fuel consumed. Due to the fact that the ground speed of an aircraft considerably rises when it is flying with the jet stream, it is able to go greater distances in a shorter amount of time. As a consequence, this leads to significant reductions in fuel consumption, decreased operational expenses, and shorter flying times. The location and strength of the jet stream, on the other hand, are altered by weather patterns and seasonal fluctuations, which necessitates careful monitoring and flexibility in route planning. Advanced weather forecasting techniques are utilized by flight planners and dispatchers to determine the conditions that are most favorable along the jet stream. While there are many benefits to be gained from aligning flights with the jet stream, there are also obstacles that come along with it. Passengers and crew members may experience discomfort as a result of the turbulence and high wind speeds that are associated with jet streams. The training that pilots get prepares them to anticipate these conditions and to make adjustments to their altitude or route in real time to reduce the effects of turbulence. Airlines can optimize their long-haul flights across the Pacific Ocean by deftly managing the opportunities and constraints given by jet streams. This allows them to achieve a balance between efficiency, safety, and passenger comfort. When it comes to safety and emergencies, considering that safety is the most important aspect of aviation, flight planning over the Pacific Ocean places a high priority on a number of different steps to protect the safety of passengers. A crucial component is the availability of diversion airports, which are airports that may be used as emergency landing places in the event that unforeseen occurrences occur, such as a malfunctioning engine or bad weather. When flight paths are chosen, they frequently follow the coastlines of surrounding land masses. This is done so that they can remain in close vicinity to the essential safety facilities. This planned routing ensures that aircraft remain within a manageable distance to diversion airports, which improves the ability to respond swiftly to emergencies while also limiting dangers for both passengers and crew. Distance traveled and fuel efficiency. When it comes to fuel efficiency, the Pacific Ocean presents a unique set of obstacles due to its size. It may appear that flying directly over the open ocean is the shortest route, but in reality, it is not always the most cost-effective or viable alternative for airlines to choose. A suitable amount of fuel must be carried by aircraft during the entirety of the route. This includes reserves that can be used to accommodate unforeseen delays, diversions, or detours caused by the weather. Aircraft can increase their access to airports to refuel or make emergency landings when they adhere to coastal routes. This strategy not only improves safety, but also helps to improve operational efficiency and passenger comfort by lowering the amount of uncertainty that is involved with long-haul transoceanic flights. The control of air traffic. Air traffic control, also known as ATC, is an essential component in the process of monitoring the flow of air traffic and ensuring that aircraft are kept safely separated from one another. Due to the huge distances involved, air traffic control coverage may be limited over the Pacific Ocean, which is a region where long-haul aircraft are frequently encountered. Flight paths frequently adhere to predetermined routes that are within the range of air traffic control ATC systems and facilities. This is done to ensure that effective communication and monitoring are carried out. Outlying regions and search and rescue operations. When you fly over the Pacific Ocean, you will be traveling across large tracts of desolate and underdeveloped regions. It is substantially more difficult to conduct search and rescue activities in certain regions if an emergency or collision involving an aircraft occurs. When aircraft travel along coastal routes, they remain closer to inhabited regions, which increases the likelihood that they will receive assistance promptly in the event of an emergency. Patterns of wind and circumstances. When it comes to flight planning over the Pacific Ocean, the weather conditions, especially wind patterns, contribute significantly to the process. Weather systems are notoriously difficult to precisely predict due to their great degree of variability. Flight crews and dispatchers have easier access to up-to-date weather information and are able to make judgments that are informed based on real-time data when they follow coastal routes. Consequently, this helps to minimize unfavorable weather conditions and turbulence, which in turn ensures that passengers have a more comfortable and secure voyage. The role of communication and navigation. When it comes to ensuring that air travel is both safe and efficient, navigational aids and communication infrastructure are absolutely necessary. Near coastal routes, aircraft have access to a network of navigational aids, including radio beacons, very high-frequency VHF communication stations, and radar coverage. These aids allow aircraft to navigate more accurately. Providing pilots and air traffic controllers with a dependable means of guidance and coordination, these aids improve situational awareness, navigation accuracy, and communication skills. Although coastal routes are typically utilized across the Pacific Ocean, there are cases in which flights do embark on journeys that extend further out into the ocean. There is a possibility that these circumstances will occur when the advantages of flying over the ocean are greater than the possible dangers. For instance, to take advantage of particular wind patterns or to take advantage of certain weather conditions, aircraft may detour from the coastal routes and fly over the open ocean for a portion of the journey. Additionally, technological advancements have contributed to the capability of flying over the Pacific Ocean in a manner that is both more efficient and safer. A number of cutting-edge navigational systems, such as global positioning systems, GPS, inertial navigation systems, and satellite communications, are installed in contemporary aircraft. The accuracy and dependability of navigation are improved by these technologies, which enable aircraft to fly more direct routes and make accurate modifications based on information about the weather and air traffic in real time. What kinds of flights are available to take you across the Indian Ocean? Anyone who has ever traveled to a location in the Pacific Ocean is aware that traveling across the entire ocean is a very rare occurrence. They steer clear of paths that are straight and instead fly over more expansive expanses of territory, transporting aircraft across the Pacific Ocean. This type of journey is referred to as a trans-Pacific flight, and it occurs when an airplane travels from Asia or Australia to the Americas, or vice versa. Even though transatlantic flights are more common, trans-Pacific flights have been available for commercial use ever since the 1930s. There are a lot of aircraft that are used for trans-Pacific flights, and one of the most popular ones is the Boeing 747. This is because of its high passenger capacity and its fuel economy. There have been recent advancements in aviation technology that have made it possible to occasionally use twin-engine aircraft for transiting the Pacific Ocean for business purposes. The utilization of contemporary jetliners, such as the Airbus A320, Boeing 737, and Boeing 787, is increasing the number of transoceanic trips that are operational. The majority of these flights are pointing in the direction of distant locations, such as Hawaii, New Zealand, and Australia. Participating in travel to countries or islands found in the Pacific Ocean. Traveling to or from countries and regions along the Pacific Rim, such as New Zealand, Fiji, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Vanuatu, and others, is impossible because there is no means to circumvent the Pacific Ocean. What is the average amount of time required to fly across the Pacific Ocean? The amount of time it takes to go across the Pacific Ocean is highly varied and is influenced by a variety of factors. These factors include the type of aircraft, the distance traveled, the weather, and the fuel economy of the plane. If a Boeing 747 were to travel from Los Angeles to Tokyo without making any stops along the way, the journey would take at least 11 or 12 hours. The Pacific Ocean is so vast that it begs the question, why don't airplanes fly over it before landing? An astounding amount of fuel is required to go across the Pacific Ocean due to the ocean's enormous size. The majority of commercial aircraft, on the other hand, do not fly directly over the Pacific Ocean. Rather, they adopt what are known as curved paths. Taking into account the curved shape of the planet, these routes provide a route that is both quicker and more efficient. Because the Earth is spherical, the shortest distance between two locations is not always a straight line. This may appear to be a contradiction, but in reality, it works out rather well. Curved routes are chosen by airplanes because they are less likely to face obstacles and require less fuel than straight routes. Straight routes are also more efficient. This is because a curved path covers more terrain than a straight one does, which means that it offers more possibilities for landing in an emergency. A large search and rescue operation would be necessary if an airplane were to crash in the Pacific Ocean. This would be necessary to locate the wreckage of the aircraft. Despite the fact that airplanes do fly over the Pacific Ocean for long-distance excursions, flight patterns often follow coastline routes rather than taking straight tracks across the wide expanse of water. When these considerations are taken into account, airlines are able to prioritize the safety of their passengers, maximize the efficiency with which they use fuel, and ensure that they effectively handle air traffic over the Pacific Ocean. If you enjoyed this content and found it informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us create more engaging and insightful content.